This isn't just a story about a cricket match. No, no. This is a story about ghosts, about grief, and ultimately, about glory. It's about one single final that carried the weight of a billion broken hearts.
So picture this, March 8th, 2026. We're in a stadium that's absolutely filled with ghosts. And that stadium, it's the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad. I mean, for any Indian cricket fan, just saying that name brings it all back, right? That painful, gut-wrenching memory of the 2023 World Cup final, a wound that, let's be honest, had never really healed.
And in that very stadium, a team, well, they were looking for redemption. See, this wasn't just about winning another trophy. This was about rewriting a truly painful chapter in their history and doing it on the exact same ground where that painful story was written.
So, how did they do it? Well, this is the story of how they rewrote that history. We're going to break down how India didn't just win a cricket match. They absolutely conquered their past in one of the most dominant, unbelievable final performances you will ever see.
All right, so let's set the stage here because you really need to understand the context. We're talking about the ghost of Ahmedabad. I mean, the pressure was just immense. Think about it. Every single news report, every conversation between fans, it all connected back to that heartbreaking loss in 2023. The big question wasn't just, hey, can India win? It was, can they handle the psychological baggage of playing in this stadium?
So you can just see the narrative here, right? A tale of two finals at the very same venue. On one side, you have the memory of that deafening silence and sorrow from 2023. And on the other, this incredible chance for a loud, defiant, joyous celebration. For everyone involved, the players, the fans, this was a head-on collision with a painful memory, a chance to literally erase it and paint over it with something new, something triumphant.
Okay, so let's get into the match itself. An onslaught with the bat. New Zealand wins the toss. They put India into bat, and you can almost feel it, right? Maybe just a little flicker of that old nervousness creeping in for the fans. But what happened next? Oh, it was anything but nervous. It was pure, raw, unapologetic aggression.
Just look at this number, 92. That's what India scored in the first 6 overs, the power play. That's the highest power play score in the history of the tournament. The openers, Abhishek Sharma and Sanju Samson, they didn't just build a platform, they launched a frickin' rocket. They just tore into the New Zealand bowling and completely, utterly snatched the momentum of this final.
And this timeline, it just shows you how relentless it was. A record-breaking start. First, you have Abhishek Sharma just going berserk, a 50 in 18 balls. Then Sanju Samson comes in and plays this masterful, commanding innings. Now, okay, there was this tiny moment of drama. You know, James Neesham gets 3 wickets in 1 over. You think, uh-oh, is this a turning point? But nope. India's batting was just too deep, and Shivam Dubey came in at the end and added the fireworks. The foot never came off the gas.
And here are the architects of that onslaught. What's so amazing here is that it wasn't a one-man show. It was shared destruction. You had Sampson, Kishan, and Sharma all smashing blistering half-centuries. I mean, any one of those innings would be incredible in a final, but all three together, it was just completely overwhelming for New Zealand.
And it all added up to this, 255. Let that sink in a World Cup final. India didn't just get a big score. They completely shattered the record for the highest ever total in a T20 World Cup final. They basically built a mountain of runs and dared New Zealand to even think about climbing it.
But you know, in the middle of all this incredible sporting drama, there was a deeply personal and truly tragic story playing out. A story that makes what Ishan Kishan did on that day, well, it makes it nothing short of heroic.
Something terrible has happened. We are in a very big problem. These are the words of Ishan Kishan's father, but he wasn't saying this from the stands, cheering his son on. No, he was saying this from a place of just profound grief. Because while his son was getting ready for the biggest game of his life, his family was dealing with an absolutely unimaginable loss.
The day before the World Cup final, Ishan Kishan found out that his cousin's sister and his brother-in-law had died in a car accident. I mean, that's a tragedy that would just break anyone. His own father said he was absolutely distraught.
So how? How does an athlete perform on the biggest stage in the world while carrying the heaviest heart imaginable? It's a question I don't think most of us can even begin to comprehend. To block out that kind of grief and focus on a World Cup final, that takes a kind of mental strength that is just almost superhuman.
And what's just incredible is he didn't just show up to play. He absolutely excelled. He smashed a crucial 54 from just 25 balls. He took 3 vital catches out in the field, and when he got to his 50, he just pointed to the heavens. It was this quiet, powerful tribute. His whole performance that day was just an incredible act of strength and courage.
So you've got this mountain of runs on the board. Now let's talk about the bowling masterclass. How did India's bowlers make absolutely sure that total was defended? I mean, if the batters built a fortress, the bowlers were the guards who made sure nobody could get in.
And honestly, the chase was pretty much over before it even got started. Look at this top-order collapse. Axar Patel strikes, then Jasprit Bumrah comes on and gets a wicket with his very first ball. Then Axar strikes again. We're not even 5 overs in, and 3 of New Zealand's best batsmen are already walking back to the pavilion. The game was just strangled right there in the power play.
Now, it wasn't a total wipeout. You can see here there was a lone fight. Tim Seifert, to his credit, fought hard for a 50. Mitchell Santner showed some grit. But beyond those two, there was just no answer. The pressure from the Indian bowlers was relentless, and the rest of the batting lineup just, well, it crumbled. And who was leading that charge? Of course, it was the player of the match, Jasprit Bumrah. Just look at those figures. 4 wickets for only 15 runs. That's his best ever performance in a T20 international. It was an absolute masterclass of pace, skill, and control when it mattered most. He was, to put it simply, unplayable. So you add it all up, the batting onslaught, the bowling masterclass, and what do you get? A victory that wasn't just a win. It was a historic, record-shattering performance that wrote this team's name into the history books forever.
I mean, just look at the records that tumbled that day in Ahmedabad. This was India's 3rd men's T20 World Cup title. They became the first team ever to successfully defend the T20 World Cup, the first host nation to win it. And to top it all off, it was their biggest win by 96 runs in any T20 World Cup match. Any one of those would be a huge deal. All of them together, it's just monumental.
And this victory, it resonated so far beyond that stadium. The Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, said it himself, "This victory has filled every Indian heart with pride and joy." This was a moment of true national pride, a celebration that you could feel all across the country.
Which brings us right back to where we started. Was this just about winning a trophy, or was it about closing a really painful chapter for 1 billion fans? In that stadium, once filled with ghosts, a brand new memory was made. A memory of pure dominance, incredible resilience, and, finally, redemption. So it really makes you wonder, right? Was this victory really about the 2026 final, or was it all about finally healing the wound of 2023?